All right, we are live. Just finishing getting set up here. It is chilly. It's very cold in here today. I had taken some extra paper towels with me when we went on vacation and I found them. So I was like, oh, I might as well use them. They're off the roll, so. All right, we need some water. 1 second. I have a designated water cup now. This was a mug I had gotten when we were... Oh, I didn't even notice the front was starting to rub off. Huh. It was well loved. It got knocked out of the cabinet and fell and shattered in half almost. Like this got broken. This shattered into a bunch of tiny pieces that we couldn't salvage. And then it broke here around the back and then all the way up to here. We got some glue and tried to fix it with food safe glue. But I can't drink out of it with this missing, so it's now our paint water cup. There. I am freezing. I've got long sleeves on today. Like, it's not a cardigan or anything. This is my actual shirt. This is not a pullover or an extra sweater. Now, we did test it with this glue, and at that point in time it was holding the water. Held it for like maybe a half an hour before I decided to finish the test. We'll see if that continues to ring true. Alright, so as you can see, since we were last working on this guy, we finished the dragonfly itself. That we did last time. I had started to put like some mosaic tiles shapes around it to fill in the background so it wasn't just solid black, because I was like, this feels top heavy, right? With all of the action happening up here and nothing happening down here. So I had started to put in sharp angled pieces and I was like, you know what? There's not really that many sharp edges in this piece. Like, they've all got like rounded edges in where like the triangular pieces are. It's still kind of rounded. Like, this would be like the sharpest piece, but it's still a bit rounded on the very tip. So I was like, okay, let's regroup here. So I undid everything that I had started to put in. Came back, started putting the pieces back in, but I was rounding all of the sharp points. So I was like, okay, that feels a little more, you know, cohesive, like it belongs, kind of. But then I was like, we still feel too heavy up here. Like, we need to do something. So I was like, how about we make two flower shapes down here in the bottom corners, and we paint those the same color as this flower, so yellow center and that dragon fruit pink color for our petals, so that way we can just kind of try to anchor it to the bottom. I don't know, kind of like it feels a little more balanced to me. We'll see if it actually looks balanced. So we're going to start off with some of our lemon yellow, which is what we used up in here. And I'm going to put some of that down. That's Americana Lemon Yellow. Alright, I'm gonna grab my brush. And I'm using a really big lid here, so I've got it sitting off to the side. This was the shoebox lid container that I have. It's the lids to the containers that I have separating out my new paint. So, because the yellow here is a bit thinner, it's a bit more transparent, and it's probably going to be a burr in my butt like the other ones were. It might need 3 coats. Now, I know a lot of people prefer other paint, and that's fine. Use whatever works for you. I mean, we might have been able to do this in gouache on watercolor paper. And I think I still have some 12 by 12 watercolor paper that I could have used, but I had this larger canvas kind of laying around. Larger. It's 11 by 14. It's not that much larger. It's not like, it's not like the one that we're doing the tissue paper project on. Really wish I could stream that, but I don't have a mic in the other room. I think we got rid of that snowball because it wasn't working right. And I didn't think about needing it for the other room. Yeah, we threw that snowball away, right? Husband?
Huh?
We threw the snowball away, right?
Snowball.
The white.
Oh, the broken one.
Yeah. Cause.
Oh, wait, no, I might have held on to it, but again, it's so inconsistent that it's not.
Yeah, the sound on it is terrible.
It's just like a backup in case we get desperate.
Yeah. So with it not really working right, I didn't want to use it in the other room either. It wouldn't have worked very well. Alright, so I'm gonna let that layer dry. We're gonna have to come back to that in a minute. Alright, so I'm gonna dry this. Gotta pull my sleeve up because I have a habit of laying my arm in the middle of stuff. Alright, so we're gonna do the dragon fruit pink here. Should be that right shade of pink. Where do I want to put you? You know what? I'll put you here. I'm not gonna put out too much. If I need to put out more, I'll put out more. Alright, so let's work on getting our shape put in here. Now the background we are going to do in black, and that will take a little bit of time to do. But I also want to come back in and add some outline with some pen. So depending on how far we get today, we probably still have a few sessions left working on this guy before it's fully finished. Now I was going back and forth on what the background color was going to be. I wasn't sure if it should be one color or if it should be 3 totally different colors, but we've got so much happening on here. I was really worried about introducing 3 brand new colors because I was afraid it would kind of just be too much. So I had kind of pared it down to 2 different colors. I was like, we could make the 2 different colors work, but then I was worried about the balance. So this is what I finally decided to do. Good, bad, or whatever. So I figured we'll stick with the desert turquoise and the periwinkle. But I decided maybe we should bring in an anchor color from the dragonfly. So I'm going to bring in the aqua sky that we used in there. And I think those 3 will help. So while 2 of them will be brand new, they look like they belong. So we're going to see how that is going to pan out here. Oh, tell you, I am over this cold weather. Over it. I'm done with it. Tired of this single digit weather and having to drip faucets and getting sassed at from the dog because it's too cold to take him on his morning outing and stand out there. Even with his little coat, he would be frozen. Like he's got a little sweater. But his fur isn't that thick. Snuffles would probably be okay, but Zuzu, it's just too cold for the old man. Of course, he didn't want to hear it. It was too cold for us. I'm sorry, I'm not standing out there while you're dicking around smelling everything ever when the temperature is 9 degrees outside. I'm sorry, buddy. The other morning, the wind chill was like -1. I'm like, oh no, no, buddy. No, we can't be out there dicking around. That's just not, that's just not gonna work. I'm sorry. So we've had to deal with his displeasure this morning. We let him wander the backyard a little bit, but sometimes that can appease him. We had an easier time of getting him to understand we couldn't go when the snow came because we took him out in the yard to walk through the snow and he was like, nah. He like kind of wanted to, but he also didn't want to. So Snuffles was like, okay. She wasn't a huge fan of it, but he was like, all right. I'm like, buddy, they're not going to have the walkway shoveled. We can't walk through this. So, like, we couldn't even drive there the first day. We're supposed to have another morning of icky cold temperatures tomorrow. And then it's supposed to get a high above freezing on Wednesday, thank goodness. Because not only has it been cold, it's been dry. Like my nose is just burning on the inside when I breathe. Up in my sinuses, I'm just like, stop it. And then it's getting dried out with the heat running, so it's getting it from every angle here. So I did finish the speed felt edit from when we were needle felting with Bob Ross on the 8x10 size projects from season 3. I finished episode 12 finally. So I still need to go back and do 10. And do 13. And I think I'm going to do 10 next. Because that one's shorter than 13. And hopefully 10 won't take me anywhere near as long as 12 did. I do apologize for how long 12 took. I think I started 12 right before we left on vacation, and then vacation happened, and then I was working on another project when we got back, and I kind of shoved it to the back burner, and then I was like, you know what, I really need to finish this so I can get the raw video off my computer. So I had downloaded all of the live streams so I could do that speed paint. And that's just basically me going through the live stream and cutting out all the times where I stopped to run my mouth or to explain how I was doing something. It's just me in full-on stabby mode, working away. So the plan is that we're gonna get all of our little tiles painted in here, right? And then I'm gonna come back in. We're gonna paint all of the leftover white space with black very carefully. And then we're gonna come back when that's done and dry with either my gel pen or some white paint. I would prefer to use the gel pen, although it can be a little fussy at times. You know what? Let me swap back to actually, we could use that little edge there as our drip catch edge since that's like open ceramic. All right, so let's get our second pass on this guy here. I think you guys can see that. So yeah, that feels a little bit better. A little bit more balanced. So the dragonfly itself was from a coloring book page. I showed you guys that. And the link to where you can get it is on the YouTube channel, on the other live streams that I've posted up of this guy. You can get it on the Amazon. It was from, oh gosh, who was it from? Let me see if I can see. Millie Marotta? If that's how you pronounce it. So with the husband's help, we enlarged it slightly. I have to have him help me with some of this because he's got the printer. Because we could not seem to... We had it where I could access the printer for a little while. And then something happened, and then the printer refused to be shared to or networked to my computer anymore. And I'm like, hi. So it's a little bit of a song and dance we have to go through when I need to transfer something and I need to change the size of it. So I like have to try to change the size and then send him the new file, and then he has to try to figure out how to get it to print. And it becomes a whole thing. Alright, so we are coming back with pass number 2. On our petals here. And I'm not going to stress too much about the pencil line, right? If it's... I can clean that up when we come back and do the background. Because there is a little bit of the pencil line showing through. But I can clean that up when we come back in for background. I can just bring the background over those edges slightly, and then it won't be an issue anymore. But right now, I'm just trying to make sure that we get the center of our tile pieces filled in. All right. So I hope everybody's having an okay day. I know it's going to be a tough day for a lot of people. And I almost didn't bother today because I figured people would be directed elsewhere. But you know what? We're here. If anybody decides they don't want to handle anything else going on, we're here just painting shapes. And that's what we're gonna do. Oh, tell ya. I am missing being down in in Key West, but I'll tell you, when we were there, we would have been probably just leaving on our way. Or getting ready to leave last January. And it was blistering hot while we were there in end of September, beginning of October. Like after the hurricane went by, oh my. It was like feels like of 106 most days. It was toasty. But, you know, it's not totally unexpected. And that made spending time at the pool all that much more enjoyable because not that many people were out at the pool. Like, there was a group of older ladies that were traveling with each other. I don't know if they were family or just friends. I think they were friends. I don't even know how they ended up hanging out together because a couple of them were a little younger than the others. But it was definitely a girls' trip, and they would be at the pool a little bit, but they were fine. It was like, whatever. There weren't a whole bunch of kids. I saw a couple of kids at the hotel and heard them in the pool a couple of times. But it was always like at the end of the day when we were heading out towards dinner. And they didn't like take over the pool all day. So, like, that's fine. I guess they were out doing stuff. I think they might have been there with grandparents, to be perfectly honest. I'm not certain. But that's what it kind of looked like. Alright. Oh, this one keeps sticking to the bottom of the cup, and I'm not sure why. I don't think the bottom feels sticky. Alright, I'm gonna do one more yellow pass here. Now, technically, I could do one more pass on this pink, but trying to cover a darker pencil line is just not gonna work. We'll be here till the cows come home, and I don't have any cows, so that's gonna be quite a feat. So we'll handle that with the background color where we're cleaning everything up. All right. All right, so rinse out that. And we'll dry that guy up. Okay, so now I want to not worry about putting my hand in anything. So I'm gonna let those guys kind of hang out up there. So now I have to figure out what we're gonna do. Did I already take the... I didn't think I had Did we already use this color? I didn't think we had. Is that my dark color? Oh, you know what? I might have used this when I was doing my dot paint testing. Might be what that is. Alright, I'm just gonna do small amounts of this color. Yeah, this is a little bit darker than what we've done already. This one is a little streaky, although I have had trouble with these red-handled brushes being streaky at times. So I'm not sure if it's the brush necessarily. It could also be the paint itself. Sometimes the darker colors can be a little bit streaky-fied. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a second run on this color anyway. Like a second pass. But we've had to do that on most of them anyhow. So it's not like it's that terrible. Alright. Um, hmm. So I gotta actually stop and think a little bit about where I'm going to be placing these colors. Like, you don't have to. And if we had done just one solid color in the background, we obviously wouldn't need to. But I do want to at least think about it a little bit. Try not to have them directly next to each other. So if I paint this one this color, I could get away with this color being here because I've got the little antenna guy separating them. And then I don't run the risk of using my anchor color, which might have been this color. You guys even see that? Yeah. All right. Okay. So now, that will end up, we're gonna end up being next to each other here at times, aren't we? Because if it's not directly next to this color, the other color will end up being next to itself in some spots. We would probably need an extra color for the background, but the butterfly, the dragonfly is so busy all on its own that I feel like it's just better this way. No, we are gonna have some spots that are just gonna be next to each other. Oh well. Like, it's fine. It's not like it's gonna be a big deal. I probably would have had to make these a little bit bigger. So that it didn't happen as often. Hmm. Let's see. Well, I fill you in there. And like we can always come back in and add more as we go. If you'd rather get some of the other colors in here first, that is totally an option. Kind of like how we did the dragonfly to begin with, where we kind of started out slow, figuring out how we wanted to do this. If you don't get your shape quite right, don't worry about it. We're gonna come back in with the black paint to clean up the background. And we can always use that to make some adjustments to our shapes as well. Clean up a weird edge or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna have to end up having a lot more of these next to each other. And that's fine. I kind of was thinking this would be the majority color anyway. So that's okay. All right. So while I'm here, this piece is dry enough. Where I can get its second pass in. I like this brush because it has a cushy grip on it. I think this might have actually been a watercolor brush, or was supposed to have been a watercolor brush. I've had this thing for years. I remember buying this one when I worked at the craft store. It's a 20/0 Royal Soft Grip. Clear handle. Definitely one of my old guys. I'm probably going to end up cleaning this brush sooner than later. So I'm not sure if I'm going to need to do a third pass on this color. Like, I just don't know. We might be okay with just the two. And I'm okay if the center's a little bit lighter than the edges. It feels a little more like a glass tile to me. I'm trying to eliminate the streaky in the center right now. It's really my biggest thing that I'm working on. And I only put like the equivalent of a drop, maybe a drop and a half of this paint out on my lid here, because I'll put more out. I just don't want a bunch out that's going to dry on me before I even get to it, because I am a little bit of a slow person when it comes to painting stuff. I know this. Now, I'm not quite sure what we're going to work on when we're done this. We might pop the stencils out. And I might work on some little sign guys. Or we might do some more oil painting. I'm not sure though. I think I kind of want to do some sign painting. Some little hangy guys. I got some graphite smudged on that piece. Oops. I may or may not be able to erase that. Oh, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Hope your day's going well. No pressure to talk. I know I've got to tend to be a lurker lounge, and that's fine. I don't mind being in the lurker lounge or having a lurker lounge. It's all good. Alright, I'm gonna turn this guy. I'm gonna try to turn this guy. Oh, I need to move my tile. This almost broke too. This was on the floor. I had no idea what caused that to fall. I think one of the cats knocked it over, because I think I would have heard that fall if I was sitting here doing something. Hey, no problem. No problem at all. Thank you. Hope your work day goes well. Alright, so we're gonna turn this guy and start to fill in this color in this section. And we're just gonna slowly paint in our shapes here. And try to just exist. Alright. Think about my shape. Try to concentrate on not letting my hand get a little too unsteady and go wobbling all over the place. I think I might finally have enough of the dark blue tissue paper twisted. For our other project that we are working on. I'm trying to record that one. No guarantees on the quality that that one's going to look like. I'm using the old camera, and the lighting, even with my extra light panel, isn't the greatest. And I don't know if the color is off on the TV that's in there that I'm using as the monitor, or if it's the camera. It's probably the camera. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what I can magic together on that one. But I haven't started to edit any of what I've got so far together yet. And I didn't do any recording on it this past week, because what I was doing to it this past week was I was working on the top edge and the side edge, and it's much thicker than what's on this canvas. It's probably a good inch to 2 inches wide on both of those. And I couldn't really get it set up where it was going to be in camera and be steady, because I kind of had it leaning against my legs, sitting on the floor. So it wasn't quite gonna be in a position where recording that was gonna work too well. So I didn't bother recording that part. Now, I didn't quite get the top edge finished. I got the one side finished in that color to correspond with where it matched up to on the front of it. It's like the sections that overlapped the edges. I got the one side done. I got like 95% of the top edge done. So I have like this much more on the top, and then I can do the corresponding side. And then I still have to finish a little bit of the front in that color, but I wanted to get the side done first in that color, so that way I can just deal with the front on a camera. Let me rinse this guy. Starting to get a little bit of buildup there. So let's see. So I've got a lot of this next to each other in here, but that's the way it's gonna go at times. So it's like, okay, the one color there, then the next one can go there, and then we could use the first color here, and then second color here. Well, I guess this would be the first color. So second color, third color, second color. Can go third color, second color, third color, second color. I'm shedding like crazy. And that color order might change. We'll see how things shake out here. Okay. So let's see. Guess this color here. Okay. So, I mean, that was kind of compact in there. So, not a real surprise that I had to go a little extra right up against each other. Now, I'm gonna try to leave a little bit of extra black in there because it's really tight. And it just didn't feel like I could get a good enough size in there without it getting all weird when we go to outline everything. So I did try to leave a little bit of space around this in sections. Okay. So that one I got a little over the edge of it, but that's okay. Our black paint will fix a lot of imperfections and accidents and what have you. Especially with my wobbly ass hands. Alright. Tomorrow's gonna be exciting. I gotta do stream prep for tomorrow. Later today. We're gonna be starting our third magnet. We're flying on the magnets compared to the other compared to the other needle felting that we did following Bob Ross, right? Those 8x10s took quite a bit of time to do. But we've completed 2 magnets already. That's it's not bad. Time-wise. Honestly, if I had a full, like, 8 to 10 hours a day to stream, which I don't, because life, but if I did, I don't know if I could talk for that many hours a day. Like, my voice is already struggling right now. Oh, shit, I touched a wire. Oops. I think we're okay, though. Like, if I had a voice that could handle talking for that many hours, I could probably get one done a day. But I don't have quite that much time. So, because what? It took us about 4 hours the one day. Change how I'm sitting. It was cold and my joints are angry. Alright, we've completed second pass on this section, so we're going to move down to here. But, yeah, so about 4 hours per session. The one went 4.5. So yeah, about 9 to 10 hours. One's on this side. I think I made it a little bit bigger than the other sides. My hands are freezing. Oh my god, all of me is cold. Apparently the husband has a space heater running on his desk and I don't even feel it doing anything. Though we might have to close the door to our room. But I think there's also a considerable draft coming through the door to the outside in this room. So that's probably not helping. I really should have grabbed a towel. and rolled it up under there. But I also don't like being super hot either. There's just no winning with me. Alright, so that got a little next to each other. Oh well. You know what? It's okay. Right? Because I was originally thinking of just going with just this in the background. And it's not a bad color to have as our majority color here. And I just wanted to get as much mileage out of this color as I could before it completely dries up on me. So it is starting to dry a little bit. So, second color, third color, second color, third color, yeah, second color. We can do a third color here, second color, third color. Probably should have just gone through and numbered them, but who's got time for that? Not us. It wasn't me finishing up that Speed Felt's audio run last night and finished putting in all the background music. And while it was rendering, trying to work on this, and then realizing I wasn't going to have enough time to finish it before I went to bed. And then having to finish it this morning. No, not at all. Totally wasn't scrambling to finish stream prep this morning before stream. Totally not. Oh my goodness, I am turning into a Nisey sickle. Holy cow. Like, do I want tea? I don't know. I just burn the crap out of my tongue when I make tea. I kind of want a hot chocolate. But if I really truly want that, I'm going to have to go make it. Because husband doesn't know how I make my hot chocolate. I guess I could put it in. Oh no. No. Is that dirty or is that clean? This used to be my hot chocolate mug. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. I just kind of don't feel like getting up to go make it right now. Okay, so let's do This one. Like, I was trying to give it a little bit of a slightly haphazard look. But I guess, unless they're all the same color, that's gonna take a little bit more planning. Oh, that's right. I did talk about doing just a free form blobby painting, didn't I? We could still do that. Whew. I hate wearing double long sleeves, but I might have to put another shirt on. I have no idea what the temperature is in our room. I know it's not as cold as outside, or else I'd be able to see my breath right now. But it's still pretty chilly. We didn't get any snow this week. In fact, there might still be in the shade tiny spots still out there somewhere. I think we were still seeing remnants of snowmen trying to hang on. Just not sure. Where else I want to put this guy? Like, I've got so many sections still to fill in over here. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting lost. That's what I was originally thinking. And I'm pretty sure I put my pencil bag away. So I can't really start marking anybody. But I don't want to have to worry about trying to cover up our number either. Time to pull the sleeve up. I had a space heater on my desk when we were on the other desk, and I tried to set it up on this desk. But I don't know if it was like all of the metal, because this desk's framework is metal. Something about it when it was on this desk, it made a very weird rattling noise that was pretty loud. And it only ever made it on this desk. So I was like, okay, let's not do that. Because that doesn't feel quite right. I mean, it works just fine. It doesn't make the noise now when it's on a different surface. So I don't know if there was just some kind of weird interference or if I was hearing it through my speakers. My speakers are disconnected right now. I have to use my my wireless headphones if I want to hear anything. Alright. We have to get one of those real IDs soon. Like, I had one when we were in Jersey, but then they weren't doing them here at first when we moved here. I hate those fuckers. Um, the requirements for the real IDs, not New Jersey in general, but like they're like, "Oh, this is worth this many points. This is worth this many points." I'm like, "I'm not even flying. Why do I have to have this?" But apparently I'm gonna need it if I get called for jury duty and have to go in a courthouse, which is ridiculous. It's like, do you want me to show up for jury duty or not? Those IDs aren't cheap either. But our IDs don't expire, I think, until this summer. So I kind of don't want to deal with it until after, like, until we're ready to actually renew it. I kind of forgot we had to do that this year. They kept pushing the deadline back and pushing the deadline back. Like, I had an easier time getting the requirements when I was in New Jersey. But, like, my name isn't on any of the utility bills here. And they just complicate things so much when you get married and change your name. It's just so infuriating. Because then I have to find the copy of our marriage license, and it has to be the one with the seal feelable on it, and I had to try to find a copy of my birth certificate, and I'm like, he doesn't have to turn in a copy of our marriage license to show that we're married. No, because his last name changed or stayed the same. And I'm like, he did end up having a last name change at one point, so he does have to have that paperwork. But if he hadn't, like, what the heck? And then I think I tried to use my casino license at one point. Not my casino work ID, but my casino license. And I think they were like, no, you're using this already. And I'm like, bitch, they had to background check me more than you're doing right now to get this thing. Make this worth more points. Like, what the hell? This is ridiculous. I had to give them history on family out to a certain degree and give them information on them, and I actually thought I was going to get denied because of my brother. My one brother. But I guess it was a non-issue because he was deceased at that point. Like, they do full-on credit history, and like, they knew more about me than I probably knew about me at that point. I was like, okay. Like, this feels weird, but okay. Guess I had to make sure I wasn't gonna steal important information or use it nefariously for the level my license was gonna be, because it wasn't like just a housekeeping license or anything. No, no, no. We were at a level of handling financially sensitive information. Okay, where else do we want to put you? How about here? Now I might have to come back in and add a bit more of this color in any empty spaces. But we'll see. So I haven't done the second pass yet on this section. Still trying to use up what's still liquidy. On my lid here. It's like, I don't fly anymore, so I really don't want this ID. But I guess I'm gonna need it in case I get called for jury duty. Because jury duty here is in the county courthouse, not the city. They do jury duty so much differently here. Although I guess it's kind of similar. Like, there were two cities that I would have to go to back in New Jersey for jury duty. I either had to serve in, I could be called for duty in Atlantic, actually there was three. I could get called for Atlantic City. I could get called for Mays Landing. Or I could get called for Camden. Nobody wanted to be called for Camden because that was like federal grand jury. That was like federal cases if you got called to Camden. Like, nobody wanted that. Um, and there was a difference between Atlantic City and Mays Landing. I think Atlantic City was civil. I think Mays Landing was criminal. There was like a difference between the two. And I just can't for the life of me remember what the distinct difference was. But I got called for regular jury duty in Mays Landing. I didn't get picked though. I got pulled in for one jury selection. My name wasn't called, or my juror number wasn't called. And the next day they didn't need us, and then the final day they didn't need us and said we were done. was like, oh, okay. Then I got called for grand jury, and the judge presiding over grand jury was, or like the main person that was presiding over all of the grand jurors, was like, you're not getting out of this. I don't care if you've got family, this, that, or whatever. You're only deciding if there's enough to go to court. You're not deciding anybody's fate, so I don't care. Now, if you have a personal matter that's going to interfere with these next X number of weeks, we can try to reschedule you or we can move you to a different day, but you're not getting out of this. And I was like, God damn it. Because at that time, I had a brother-in-law that was on one police force. I had my half-brother that was on another police force. His stepfather was the head of a firing range that was also a big deal in the one city at one point, and I'm just like, damn it. And that was 1 day a week for the entirety of my summer, and was one of my days off from work because I had split days off. So I couldn't even really turn it in to get my normal day's pay. So it was like $5 a day. And then I had to pay taxes on it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? When I had to go do my taxes, they're like, yeah, that's taxable. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. I had no choice in the matter. Then you're going to tax it. Right. Sure. And then that cleared me for a couple of years. And then they loved pulling my name out of the hat. It seemed like clockwork when the timer dinged for for how long I had served on grand jury. It's like almost to the day I got a letter. Oh, you're being called for jury duty again. I'm like, damn it. It's like, and of course, at that point, I was working at the casino and I was working grave shift. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I was like, I have been sleeping during the day for a couple of years now, and now you suddenly want me to be wide awake and paying attention? I was like, how is this giving somebody a fair shake being a jury on theirs when I am so terribly sleep deprived? And you expect me to pay attention? Just, what the hell? Hair people. And that case pissed all of us off because it was some kind of car accident thing, and it seemed like none of us really felt like there was a reason for us to be there, because it kind of started to feel um a tiny bit frivolous at that point, and we're just like, what? Like, she was saying she had these injuries and these injuries, but yet she could pick her granddaughter up and hold her, and I'm like, huh? And all of us were like really confused, and we're just like, no. We were so done. One of the jurors near me, I kept hearing him snore while we were in the courtroom. His ass was like dead asleep at times. I think somebody kept like nudging him awake. And I was right there with him. I'm like, oh, buddy, I am so tired. And we were so done with all of it that when we went back to start deliberating, I don't know whose side got nervous when we went back, but we were only going to give her, we were starting to work out the math. We were going to award her enough money that was like the cost of a large bottle of like Tylenol or something for like the course of like 3 or 4 years or something. It wasn't going to be very much. Because we were just like, the fuck is this? And I don't know who got nervous, but dude's insurance company and the lady's lawyer decided to settle while we were back there um trying to work out some math because the judge came back and they're like, yeah, so they've decided to settle. Your service is done. And I'm like, we were mad actually at that point. We sat through all of that, like 2 days, 3 days of this, and we are like, what? What? We're like, no, no, no. You made us suffer through this and you're just going to settle? We're like, no. No, you will accept our doling out. We were so mad. I wasn't the only one that was like, you've got to be kidding me. And the courthouse wasn't exactly in the greatest part of town either. But I didn't know the buses that well for the city itself. And I'm like, so like every day I was walking from the main bus terminal down to where the courthouse was there, and I was not a fan of that. And then after we moved and we were down here, my dad called me and he's like, hey, I'm like, what? He goes, you've got a notice for jury duty here. I was like, what? I was like, I'm not even in the state anymore. That's not gonna be possible. Like, my ID had already been well changed over to a different state. I had change of address cards put in. They just loved pulling my name. I was like, yeah, you're gonna have to call them. So we ended up calling them and like, yeah, I got a notice for jury duty for my daughter in the mail, but she doesn't live in this state anymore. She hasn't for like a couple of years. And they're like, oh, okay, disregard it. We'll put something in the computer. I'm like, okay. You're sure? And they're like, yep, it'll be taken care of. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, it better, because I'm not traveling 1,400 miles, 1,200 miles, whatever it was, back to New Jersey. And then I got called here. And I think I would have rather been called for there than here. Because it's a fiasco here. It's a whole thing. Like, they hold you for jury duty in a pool to pull from for like 6 weeks. It's almost as bad as grand jury, except you don't have to report every day. They're like, we'll call you when we need you to come in, but you need to be available between this date and this date. And make sure you have the proper clothes and everything, and we'll call you the night before if we need to pull you in for jury selection. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Now, I didn't get called any further than that. Thank goodness. But, it was a possibility. Okay, so we need some more of this color. This is our desert turquoise, so we can do second pass through this section here. Ooh. So cold. Like, my arm is freezing. So I'll see where we're at. I don't know, maybe I should just do this one color all the way through. Like all the way around before I swap colors. So I was thinking, well, maybe we'll switch colors when I get done this second pass, but at the same time, maybe we should just keep trucking with the same color. Whew. So I need to start twisting one of my shades of purple. I had started twisting the like a magenta fuchsia color, and then I realized, oh wait, I need to get a purple color in here first. And I'm not sure if it's the main dark purple color I'm going to use for the whole thing, or if it's just the purple color I'm going to use in this top section. Like that I haven't really figured out yet. Sorry if my head starts leaning into the shot. I had to zoom out pretty far today. I try to keep me out of it, but sometimes my big old head gets in the way. Let's see, when did we have our last ad break? We probably just had it. Yeah, we did. I kind of need to pee. And I kind of want that hot chocolate. I don't normally like getting up in the middle of stream if I can help it. Although we've had to do it plenty when we've had to take the doggos out. But I kind of need to pee. So if I had timed it better, we could have done it during the ad break. And I can't even run an ad while I get up to go pee real quick. So hopefully you guys won't be too mad if I get up and run and get that real super quick. Right? Like it happens to the best of us. Alright. Desperately have to potty. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Really had to potty. And then the kettle was taking forever. Alright. Let's get back into our second pass here. Pretty sure that one already had a second pass on it, but it kind of looked like I had missed a bit there, so. Like, I'm okay if it looks a little light in spots, but I just definitely wanted it to not be quite as streakified as that was shaping up to be. All right. So again, I hope everybody's day is going well. We are trying to just keep our head down today and work on our art. When we were away, we had actually seen the store, I think, when we were away in Key West in January. End of January, beginning of February. And there'd been like these weird like mosaic glass lamps hanging in this window. And I had been kind of infatuated with them when we had first seen them then. I just thought they were so awesome. And I didn't think much of it because I figured they were probably way too expensive. And but you know, we window shopped it for just a minute. I kept getting drawn to them every time we walked by it. And then when we were there in the end of September, I think maybe when we walked by, the store wasn't open then. At the time that we had walked by and seen them, like in the January February trip, or we never managed to catch it open, or when we walked by, they just weren't open yet for the day, or they had closed for the day or something. So when we were there in September, we saw them again in the window, and I was like, I really like these. And then my husband kind of noticed me, goes, yeah, man, those are kind of cool. And we actually went in this time and looked at them a little more closely. They were a little pricey, but it was for the lamp base and a globe of our choosing. And they were just so pretty and colorful, and the way the light shined through them, I'm like, I love these. These are fantastic. So they were like these Turkish lamps that were handmade. Like the globes were handmade. You could tell. They each had their own little imperfections and where stuff wasn't quite lined up right, or maybe grout got a little too much on a tile or something. But you could tell they were definitely handmade. And guy was very nice. And I think he said him and his cousin take turns um, running the store depending on the time of year. And somebody else was in there that he was waiting on while we were walking around and looking at all the different stuff. And they had like some bolts of fabric and shoes and like beaded little coin purses and stuff and jewelry and just odds and ends little trinkets and things and robes. And so we did end up picking up a lamp for each of us to put on our desk. I got a blue globe and he got like an orange and red one. And then, don't you know, in the past couple of weeks, suddenly on Facebook, I've been getting ads about this class coming to a city near us, an art workshop that they're doing, making these things. And I was like, get the hell out of here. Now, I've done some mosaic before with tiles, on pots and things. And so I get the whole concept of gluing it down, letting the glue dry so that it's well and truly not going to move on you and attached, and then grouting it. Like, I get that. Thing was, I didn't know what they were using to glue the glass to the globes. And it seems to be some kind of clear silicone. Which I found out because I then went to this website and they have a whole thing on how to make them. And I was like, son of a bitch. And you can also buy the different colored glass tiles from them and like glass beads and stuff to put on there. And they also sold kits if you wanted to get a kit for one. And they've got a little like camping lantern that kind of feels very old-time oil lampy. Something that you might like see like railroad conductors using and walking the train lines and stuff. And except it's a rechargeable LED, and we're like, ooh, that might be fun. So we might pick up one of those kits at some point. And if we do, we can make that on stream. We'll see. It won't be for quite a while, though. But I get the concept. They also had like DIY instructions for if you just wanted to like do it on your own. Pretty sure I bookmarked the page. This guy is a little streaky still. Okay. Otherwise, not terrible. Okay. Now, I need to figure out this side. Sorry, I really am cold. Trying to drink my my drink before it gets too cold. I've got it in my in one of my travel mugs. I don't have it in my turbis, but I didn't want my turbis getting all funky with the hot chocolate getting into all the crevices. But I have a cheaper one. That's one thing I was sad about when we were down there this fall. They had a Tervis store that we discovered was down there in January, February. And when we were down there this time, they had signs up everywhere that it was 50% off, that they were closing. I was like, no. Like, that is so sad. I mean, I can still order them online, just that location was closing, but still, it was kind of disappointing. They didn't have a whole lot of stock left, but we got my mom a second mug of the same pattern that she already had. We figured it wouldn't hurt, and we already knew she liked that one. And I got a new big one. Just kind of like some colors marbled together. I was torn between that one and one that said Dog Mom, but ended up getting the multicolor one. And the husband got two small ones that were kind of like tumblers that had lids, which we hadn't seen or paid much attention to when we were there the last time. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to put my hand here. I'm probably going to put some more of this color down. More than likely. I realized as I was putting these rounded triangles in, they looked kind of like guitar picks. So I was like, oh, well, it wasn't necessarily intended, but here we are. I guess we're gonna have to do this color here. Somebody's gonna be double here. Okay. Let's see here. Hardest part of this is deciding what color is gonna go where. For me, at least. Especially when my mind's like, no there, no there, no, maybe there. That are like maybe little rounded pieces of toast or something. Okay. The only thing I don't like about this mug is that the little the slide, the closure is loose. It didn't used to be that loose, but it has gotten looser over time. So now I'll be going to pick it up to drink from it and it just slides closed on me. I'm like, excuse me. And I can't really replace the lid on that one, I don't think. The Turvises were nice because I could buy just a replacement lid off the website. I picked up a couple when we first got them that I still have tucked away. I was like, oh, maybe I should get a couple more replacement lids while we were there. But they were all sold out. I was like, oh. Those were probably one of the first things to go. Oh, I was not made for this cold ass weather. That's for certain. Oh no. Although it's not that much warmer in Florida right now either. I was seeing a forecast where spots of the panhandle they were predicting we're gonna get some snow. I was like, wait, really? This one vlogger I watched, they were hoping that their kid could get to see snow sometime, and I'm like, you totally have to drive up there and pull them out of school. Although there might not be school today. It depends on the school, I think. Like when I was in high school, it was a private high school, and they got to choose some holidays that they could have off or not. And I remember a lot of the kids being really surprised when one of the days, it might have been this day, they didn't have off when everybody else did. I think public school had it off. And their response was, the teaching staff was like, we have a lot of Catholic saints days off that they don't have. So it's a trade-off. And I was like, oh, well. Okay then. Was that the real reason? Don't know. Was it a convenient excuse? Could have been. Could have been. Don't know. But I do remember some of the students raised eyebrows at that explanation, and I was like, yeah, I feel ya. I mean, it seems weird and a little wrong, but they are right. We do have some extra days off that public doesn't have for different saints or whatever. I don't recall them now, of course, but and I really don't think it was all that many. It might have been like maybe two. But we also didn't have gym class either. But we did have to attend Mass. Not every day. And they didn't care. Like if it was like some kind of like holy day or something that we were in school for, it was treated like an assembly and we had to go have mass or something in the auditorium. And they didn't really care if it wasn't your religion. You still had to attend the quote unquote assembly. And if it wasn't your religion or you had not had confirmation of this religion, you could not do communion. So you had to just walk by in the line of everybody going down to those that were handing it out. Which kind of messed up our class schedule for the day because that took like an hour to an hour and a half out of our class day. And then they would put us on like half day early dismissal class schedule so that they could get all of the classes in instead of having anybody's particular class cut short. Like one class cut short, they did them all just on half day schedule or something. We didn't have a half day, but that's what they would do to squeeze it in. Like, this is silly. Not a fan. We also had a mandatory religion class every year. The one year they were trying to teach us the morality in religion. I'm like, what? It's like, I don't know that those two things butt heads sometimes. And it kind of depends on who you're talking to, what kind of answer you're gonna get. But, what ifs? The tuition for that place was just absolute highway robbery. It's even worse now. I think when I was going there, it was $3 grand a year, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And for as much as I was struggling, and they only had 3 different class levels, it was either AP classes, college prep classes, or general class. Just general classes. They shoved me in college prep classes. And I'm like, that's great, but don't really have the money to dive directly into college after this nonsense. And I don't know that I'm gonna go because I don't see the point in putting myself in this much debt to work a retail position. If there had been something that I wanted to do at that point in time that involved going to college, that would have been one thing. But I didn't know what I really wanted to do yet. And there was so much pressure put on you to like figure it out right now. And I'm like, but I don't know. It's a little bit asinine to put this much pressure on someone to figure out what they want to do right now with the rest of their life. Like, I just found it so absurd. I'm like, but all I've had the opportunity to do so far is homework. Like, I don't really know what I want to do with the rest of my life. And a lot of people were pushing the whole IT thing, and I'm like, that job market is going to be so oversaturated because everybody was graduating and going to school for IT, and at that point in time it did become oversaturated and nobody was getting hired with their IT degrees when they were coming out and they were working at Burger King. And I'm like, yeah, now they have all this student debt they've got to deal with. No thanks. Um I'm not slamming people that work in fast food and retail. I've worked plenty of retail. It's just that's the way life goes, but now you've got all the student debt hanging over you, right? And they're like as bad as loan sharks. They want their money right this second. Like, they don't care if you're not making enough to pay back the amount that they want. And it's like, that doesn't sound enjoyable to me. So because I was struggling, we're like, hey, can I my parents talked to, I guess, my guidance counselor or somebody at the school. They're like, yeah, can we drop her down to general classes? Because she's struggling, and it's just like 5 hours of homework every night, and this is ridiculous. And they're like, no, she can't drop down. And they're like, why not? And they're like, her GPA is too high. She has to be in this level of classes. And my parents didn't want me in that level of class, and I didn't want to be in that level of class. And I'm like, what? I'm struggling. I am failing this. I'm almost failing this. I'm barely skating by on the skin of my teeth in this. And they're like, your GPA is too high. I was like, all right, fuck it. So then I was just like, I don't care anymore. So the one class, I was like, D borderline F. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I can't. I am so lost. And nothing they're telling me is sinking in. Like, the one teacher was never available for after school help. Another teacher was there for after school help and was like, oh yeah, stop by after school, I'm always here for help. And the one day I stopped by to get help, she wasn't there. And then I got yelled at for having my winter hat on in the hallway on my way out the door. I was like, really? I put it on because I'm heading outside in the bitter cold, but yet the girls on the sports teams could walk around with their skirts at the bottom of their asses that we had to wear as part of our uniform instead of down by the knee, which was the required school dress code. I'm like, uh-huh. But you're gonna yell at me while you're standing right next to them and you can like almost see their ass cheeks hanging out from underneath their skirt. I'm like, okay. That school was so cliquey. It was all in who you know, whose ass you kissed, and if you were on a sports team. If you were on a sports team, you could do no wrong. That school valued their sports more than anything. Their football program, their basketball, cross country, wrestling, you name it. Like, between the homework and the fundraising, barely had time to sleep. That's another thing. They constantly had us fundraising. Not only were we spending like $3,000 a year to go there, we also had to participate in getting at least X number of dollars. Fund rose, I guess. But just about 95% of the kids in the town that I grew up in were at this high school because we didn't have our own public high school. Our town didn't want to build a public high school because they said they didn't have enough kids to do it, and they were in sending agreements for a public school with two different cities, and neither one of them at the time was considered a good option for kids from our town because both schools were a little rough and tumble, where there was fights breaking out every day. And this was before school resource officers were commonplace, and before there were shooting drills and all that. This was in the 90s, and those two schools had police stationed at them. That's how rough they were. And my brother was like, no, don't send her to that one. It was like, kids are getting jumped every day in the hall. We're there all the time. Because one of them was the town that he worked in. He goes, no. He's like, she's going to get the shit beat out of her. I think only maybe 10 kids went to one of the sending districts because their parents couldn't afford the tuition. So then everybody was fundraising from our town at the same time. And like, they wanted you to at least get like $2 or something. Like, if we collected at least $2 in our fundraising, we could have a day where we didn't have to wear our uniform. But ideally, they wanted you to raise X number of dollars. I'm like, ain't nobody got time for this. Like, what? Like, I'm not on one of these sports teams. I'm just here to do my time and let me out. Like, this is ridiculous. We're supposed to be here learning, not effing fundraising. Like, shouldn't the alumni be doing this? Like, isn't this what, like, bake sales and shit are for? Not sending your student minions out. That town still doesn't have its own public high school, which I can't fathom. But it also astounds me that the town doesn't have its own public high school and the taxes for property are so high. I'm like, why? There's only a like a grade school and a middle school, and taxes are like 3 to 4 grand for like a 2 bedroom house. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is wild. Because I looked into moving back to the area and I'm just like, no, can't do it. The rent is atrocious. For no reason. I guess to cover the property taxes. I guess. Like, it was getting kind of high before we left because we couldn't, with both of our salaries combined, we would barely be able to afford rent working 40 hours a week, both of us, let alone utilities and groceries. Like, it wasn't gonna happen. Hmm. Where do... Like, my dad was, living in a studio apartment. Had a bathroom, a small kitchenette, and I don't even remember what the kitchenette looked like. Kitchen. And then then the rest of his living space was like all one room. I don't think I ever set foot in the kitchen. Like, we were there a couple of days and they were really adamant, and we used to rent from these people when I was growing up. Same family. In fact, it was the property that was adjacent to where we had lived for a couple of years. Um, they were adamant that, like, you can have a guest, but they can't stay there. Like, it can't be like a guest that's there for 6 months, because that wasn't part of like how their studio rental agreement went. And it was only one person could be living there. But they also covered some of the utilities, I think, baked into your rent on that property. So I guess that wasn't so bad. I think he was paying, yeah, some of his utilities were in with that rental amount, because I remember him saying that his rent was $700 a month. But in the summer, if you wanted, there was no air conditioning in the building. But in the summer, if you had a window unit, you could call them and the handyman would come over and install it for you. And for the months that it was in operation, like installed in the window and running, um, you had to pay an extra $50 a month in your rent to cover the air conditioner running. So yeah, I'm pretty sure his electric was baked into that. And they had a fair number of units in that building. Um, there was a good number of studios. They had a couple one bedrooms, but there was waiting lists to get into those. And I don't even remember how much the rent was for those. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking. 2, 3. Feel like I need another one of these here. Just wasn't sure what spot I wanted it in. And we probably would have been fine in a studio, but they were only allowing one person in there. It was right on the train line. You had to walk up a block to get the bus going in the right direction. But that wasn't so bad. Like, we could have done that, but let's see. How do I... This is wet, so I gotta be careful where I'm putting my hand. Well, some of the spots are wet. All the spots where I wanted to put my hand were. Let me rinse this. Get that cleaned up. Alright, so we are starting our second pass. on this color. Okay. So I think this will, at the very least, be interesting. By the time we're done. I'm not sure yet if this one's going to enter the art giveaway. It might. It's a distinct possibility. But we'll see. See how I feel about it when we get done. Okay. And I feel bad that we're still on the same color. But it's either that or I constantly swap colors. And then I feel like if I'm constantly swapping colors, I might waste more paint that way. So it's kind of a hard choice to make there. I also want to find the time to try to do our own coloring book page. But that's gonna take some time. To find the time, because I'm working on the tissue paper project right now. That's going to be a while before we see any of those videos. That I can say with abundant confidence. Considering I'm still on one color. I'm gonna start twisting. I started twisting another color. I don't have very much of it twisted before I realized, oh wait, the way I've got to tuck this color in, I really need this other color first. And I'm trying to work with as much of one color at a time as I can, so I can then be done with that color and forget about it for a while. It's not going to quite work that way because I'm going to have to come back and grab some of the colors later as I progress through it. But the amount I'm going to need when I get down to that shouldn't be too bad. And I've got it all. I've got the cut tissue paper in their storage bags, right? Because even if I don't end up using it all for this project, I'll be able to use it for another project. And then any of the stuff that I've twisted is going into its own bag. I didn't want to twist it and put it back in the same bag, so it was going to be hard to pull it out around all of the other pieces. And I could just see myself getting mad at not being able to grab the twisted pieces. Alright. So like I said, tomorrow we're going to be working on our magnet, following along with Bob Ross. We're going to be following season 31, episode 3. I do not remember what it's called. I remember briefly glancing at the image last week, and I haven't looked at it since. I just remember thinking when I saw it that it's basic enough. I think we can do it in the tiny format. Like that campfire one from season 3, I don't think I'd be able to do that tiny. Excuse me. I think that would just be a mess. I would probably end up skipping that one. And I'm not saying we are doing hands down every single one. If it looks like I can pull it off, we'll attempt it. But I'm also working on a 3" by 3" square. And there's only so much one can pull off on something quite that small. So like I'm semi-competent with some things, but I am not that good. To pull off all of what he does that tiny. Still kind of toying with the idea of attempting a farmer's market booth here. Not a farmer's market booth, a junk store booth. But I haven't seen any available in a price range that A, I'm willing to pay, and B, in a location in the store that looks worth it. Like, there was one wall that was available in the one store that we saw that was a $20 a month fee, but like the store was just, it was nothing but like crammed in booths and stuff, and the aisles were so narrow, and there was a back aisle that ran across the back of the store, and you could like look down and see like the different hanging sections and shelf sections for people when you looked down it, but the section that was available was on the section you couldn't see, so you had to like physically walk down that aisle to see it because it was on, like, this is the aisle, this is the back wall, and then this is the wall of the displays that faced that back aisle, and it was on that wall, and I'm like, it doesn't really seem like a good location, and probably why that's now available. And it was like peg hanging space only, and that's not a deal breaker for me. I can put stuff in plastic bags. I mean, for something like that, I might have to get like the cello hanging bags. I probably wouldn't be able to get away with just using Ziplocs, but then again, it is a junk store, antique store. They call them antique stores, but let's face it, they're flea market booths that some some booths happen to have some antique stuff in them. But I don't know. I think we'll see how the next art giveaway goes, and how much gets taken. So we'll have to see. As with everything, I also somehow, in the middle of all of this, need to get a pan drum. I think that's what they're calling them. Because I think I have to learn how to play it for Super Flamingo Island, which is the game the husband's working on. Kind of feel like maybe we should have coated that raw edge in glue. Maybe. Alright, so we've got two more sections here that still technically need this color, but I'm kind of out of this color. Like, not out, but I'm gonna need to put some more of this down. Alright. Alright, we're gonna go 2 drops that time. Alright. So let's dive back in here. And figure out who's going where in this section. Right? Like, we're almost done with this color. Sort of. So I have some rhinestones. I just don't know if I have any small enough that I can incorporate into this. I think all of them are just a little big for the size that everything is. That makes me a little sad because I did want to pop them in here, but there is another one in the book that they might work with. I had actually wanted to add some bling to his crab. I probably still could. I hadn't had any of the stones when I made it, and I'm kind of bummed I didn't grab the one tub when I had seen it, because I think that one had been at Walmart, and then when we went back to do our Christmas shopping, it was gone. I guess they had clearanced it or something. I am here to show you a pic of a pickle. Okay. You have shown me a pic of a pickle. How's your day going? Hopefully well. Good. So what have you been up to lately? It's been a little bit since I've seen you pop in. This poor brush is like, I don't want to be used anymore. This brush wants to retire. The point on it's all bent. It's all bent over. I feel you, paintbrush. I feel you. Alright, so let's see. 1 color, 2, 3, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3, 2. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what color is gonna go where. Like, some colors are just gonna be next to each other. That's just the way it's gonna be. I think we're gonna clean our brush here. Get that all unickified. I was starting to get some paint buildup in it. Definitely can't drink the paint water now because that cup is broken. And it's a dead giveaway that I shouldn't be drinking from it. Oh, it's so cold in here. It's supposed to go up to 43 tomorrow. But alas, that is tomorrow and not today. Is this in frame? Yeah. Always bad about double checking where I am. Especially when we're needle felting. I've had to cut out many a section because I was just off camera frame. I was like, damn it. Okay, let's see here. Get this guy filled in there. Ugh, it's just a cold that just wants to seep in to every crevice. Now, I know some people have it colder, but I am not a fan of how cold it is in this room. Oh my goodness. I'd actually put my light on early today because I was like, oh, that'll make it warm in here. It does in the summer. No. It is not doing nearly enough. Oh my goodness gracious. I am craving some snacks from Buc-ee's. And we don't have a Buc-ee's anywhere near us. Which sucks. I think our closest Buc-ee's will end up being about 4 hours from here. And there's no way we're gonna drive an 8-hour round trip just to go to Buc-ee's. There's no way. Like, that's just not happening. Which, is sadness. But that's the way of it. I saw the pencil line. I was like, wait, didn't I already do that section? I did. Alright, so I guess we'll fill this one in. Okay. Sorry, I'm like using one spot to kind of wipe off the buildup over here. Alright, so this isn't a pre-mixed color. I mean, it's a pre-mixed color. Like, we did not mix this, so I'm not showing my palette. My palette is a glorified container lid. Not really all that exciting to look at. If I had a smaller one, I would just hold it in my hand. But I don't. It's kind of big. I'm gonna need to clean it soon. I feel like I get overwhelmed with how much paint gets on these palettes at times, and I'm like, fuck it. But I'm definitely going to have to clean it soon. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Alright, so we'll do this guy. I still have to do the second pass in that section. But this section, that section was so small. I was like, well, just kind of tiptoe up here. Do a little detour guy. While that section is drying. Oh, I'll tell you, my joints hurt too. Alright. That might be good. I mean, we can come back and add more of this color if we need to later. We'll see how things pan out. Oh, I realized my shapes in the one section are larger than they are in the other. Or at least they appear larger in the other. Alright, so let's work on second pass here. So you can follow along with the photo updates on the tissue paper project on my Blue Sky account. I've been hearing some things about Instagram lately that are kind of shitty. So I've never really gotten much engagement over there. And you know what? There's only so much energy to go around in a day for me. And when I start trying to post everywhere, I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin. And it doesn't feel like there's much point in posting on Instagram anymore, since I've gotten like no engagement. So it's either just overly saturated or nobody's really there anymore. So I'm probably just gonna slowly stop posting there and just primarily be posting on Blue Sky and the Ko-fi page and probably the YouTube community tab for the channel over there. But tissue paper project updates will probably just be on Blue Sky, So that's going to be a little bit easier for me to post to. Now, there weren't any photo updates this week because it was just all edge work. I will probably take a photo when I get done with the color that I'm currently using over there because it's hard to get a photo of the edge, right? And this canvas is so effing big that I'm having trouble getting a photo of the whole thing where I need to photo it. Because the room I'm working on it in is fairly small. I'm probably going to have to stand it up on the floor to get my update photos on it. Just to try to get the whole thing in frame. Because I don't have a ladder high enough I can stand on. And my balance isn't that great to be standing on top of something. The one photo I got where it was almost in frame, and even then some of it got cut off, I was standing on top of a footstool, like a squishy footstool, and I was swaying back and forth, and I was the only one in the room, and I'm like, I'm gonna end up face planting into this table, breaking my light for a photo. Like, this is not going to end well. I need to get my ass back on the floor. Because then after I got the photo, I'm like, okay, how do I get down? It's like miscalculations were made about this. Like, I can get myself up into spots, and then I'm like afraid to get down, and I'm like, shit. Like, it wasn't that far to the floor, but my off balance ass was like, yeah, we're gonna need some assistance. We're gonna need a crane and some guide ropes and all that good stuff. I did see Lita was back to doing Wild Challenges podcasts this weekend. So hopefully she's feeling a little better. That was good to see. Okay, looks like I missed that one potentially. All right. So that is color number 1 done. Okay. So, who do we want? Color. I think we'll grab color number 2. It's my scissors. There they are. All right. I can get this plastic off of here. These scissors were not the greatest scissors that I bought. I didn't even realize when I bought them that they don't close on the end. There's a gap. See if I can see. I guess when they were in the package, no, even when they were in the packaging, they weren't gonna. There's like they've warped or something. Like, what is this shit? Alright, so let's get this guy shook up pretty good. Alright. So that's what the lid color looks like. They're calling it periwinkle. It's almost like a denim color. Not quite like a lilac. It's a little more blue than that. I do need to stretch my legs out real quick. Okay. Ooh. Pop goes the spine. Okay. Alright. So we're gonna be up here. So it looks similar to that, but it's not. Definitely a slightly different shade than the purples that we've got down. Okay. So if that's color 2, that can be color 3. Alright, I got a little close to that one. I'll fix that with the black paint. So that's color 3. Color 2 can come hang out down here. That was a very loud truck going by. Okay. So that can be color 3. Put color 2 in here. Uh-oh. Zuzu's here. It's a Zuzu buddy.
It's happy tail time. Hi, happy tail. What's
Happy
up?
tails to
Do
you.
I need to take you out to go pee pee? Yeah, you look like you need to go. All right.
Yeah, it's about that time.
Daddy, throw something on here.
Do I need to get him?
Oh, I got
Alright. So, color 3, color 3, color 3. I can do color 3 there. We'll do color 2 here. This color is not covering too badly. Kind of like how this is laying down. Feels pretty smooth. Might not need to do too much with this one. Maybe just a little touch up here and there. Alright. So we'll put color number 2 here. I do wish the point on this one was a little bit better.
Do you need to go?
It's a little lacking. Come on, Snuffles.
No, you're laying on your back. Okay.
No, she needs to go. Come on. Just hook it onto her. She'll go.
Well, she laid back on
Oh.
the hook, which is not latched. Okay. Hold on. There we go. Thanks.
Honey time all around. Except for me. I'm still good. I'm still good from our last potty break. Although she's not going to be fond of those sirens going by. Might have been fire rescue. It didn't quite sound like an ambulance. Okay. So this one will work into here. What time is it anyway? Okay. Sometimes we can just lose all track of time here. I think it is time to clean this guy though. What's that?
I'm taking your mom to Frederick.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't know. Okay. Too big of a drink. Too big. You ever like take a drink of something and it just hits the back of your throat just so? And you're like instantly regrets were made? Regrets were had? Like why? Why did I do this? Alright. Fill this guy in here. Yeah, so I mean there's a couple spots on this color where it's a little thin, but it's alright. I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. Once we get everything filled in the background and all that. That will be a bit of an undertaking. I'm not sure which brush I'm gonna do with that. That I haven't quite figured out yet. But at the same time, This is starting to fill in pretty good. It seems like. So that's not so bad. Like it's still fairly busy, but it doesn't seem too bad. Wasn't sure if I was still in frame there. Alright, maybe this guy. So this isn't quite the same color in the dragonfly, but it's close, right? Okay. Alrighty. Getting that filled in there. Yeah, this one doesn't need too much touch up so far to it. Which, hey, you know what? I'm a fan of that. I'm cool with that. Not sure if we're still in frame enough. Oh, I'm thinking there wasn't school here locally today, because city offices were closed. And of course, I didn't realize it because we had put the trash out, or I told him to put the trash out, and then I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw somebody ask if they were picking up today's trash route, and I'm like, why wouldn't they? Like, I don't pay attention to the date right now, and then I saw the explanation. I was like, oh, right. Of course. That would make sense. So it was nice that the kids got an actual snow day. They didn't make them do a remote learning day. Like, all the other schools had reported in early that they were going to be closed that day, the day we had the snow, and our town school was like dragging their feet. Like, they weren't listed on the news website, and I'm like, they're seriously not going to make a decision until morning? These roads are shit. And then I saw that they had posted it on their website. So they must have sent a text out to the families. And nobody had just called it into the station. Dropping my paintbrush. Do 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 it do. Now the other color, I think, color number 3. And that one will more than likely need a second pass on it, just because of the shade that it is. Did they get their snack yet?
No.
Okay. Do, 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 do. All right. Get this tucked into here. Oh. What day is this for?
Monday.
Today. Okay. Were they busy down there?
A little bit. Remainder of the lunch rush.
Really?
Mm-hmm. At least it appeared to be.
Unless they're just down there dicking around.
Also possible.
Is there a lunch club with the breakfast club?
What do you mean with?
Like, it seems like there's a breakfast club down there. Is there also
People show up for lunch.
a lunch club where they just don't go home? Okay, so if we do color 3, color 3, color 3, color 3, color 3. I'm gonna do color 3 all down in through here. So we'll do a color 2 there. I think we'll do color 2 here. Can hear Littles meowing somewhere in the house. At least I think it's Littles. Sometimes her one loud meow and Ed's loud meow sound pretty close to each other. And then Peabody, he can just sound downright demonic sometimes when he starts meowing at the wall. He's like, meow, meow, and I'm like, what are you doing? Stop that. And they were raising all kinds of hell yesterday. Running through here. Running into the dogs. The dogs were getting mad. One of them barreled into the side of Zuzu and he got all upset and then he started whining and then he didn't want to come back in the room and I'm like, you're fine. There was no claws involved. You're okay. It was just the cats being dumb. Alright, so let's fill in this spot here. All right, like it's starting to get a little bit easier now. Because we're getting our spots kind of whittled down here for where color 2 and color 3 are going to be living. So it's kind of getting, like, you can kind of still make it out though. It's definitely busy, but I think once we start getting all of this white covered up, that some of that busyness is going to fade just a little bit. Or at least that's the plan. We'll see if that's actually what we can get to happen here. This one's coverage is pretty good though. This shade. So that speed felt that I finished last night, that's gonna go up, I think on the 25th. I was torn on whether or not I wanted to put it up sooner than that. You know, I was like, oh, I finished. I should get this up. I like shouldn't sit on it any longer, but I don't have any bear and breakfasts. I'm out of bear and breakfast. Whatever goes up, I think today, maybe tomorrow. I don't have any other backlogs scheduled for it, so I was like, if I had more. Sorry, it sounded like Zuzu whined. If I had any extra bear and breakfast ready to go up, then I would probably just double post a day, but I don't. So I was kind of torn on what I wanted to do with that. So I ended up just deciding to post it on its own day. I mean, it's been this long, right? That's a couple more days. Alright, I'm gonna clean this brush. So we got a little bit further than I expected today. Not as far as I would have been happier about, but still further than I had originally expected. We won't be done this. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we'll be done this color today. We certainly won't be done painting in these shapes today. Since we still have another shade to go here. So I'm thinking that next week we should be able to finish color number 3 going into the background here. Right? And probably start our black background. Is what I'm thinking. Okay, let's get this guy. So this is going in pretty good. Like I said, the black will help fix any oddities or hand wiggles or smudgies. And I should have enough of this one particular bottle of black paint remaining. To complete that. I think when we woke up this morning, it was saying it was 9 degrees out. I'm like, oh no. It was a bit warmer when we woke up yesterday, but the wind chill made it not a good time. Wind chill was like 1 degree, and then for a little bit it was -1, and I was like, oh, yeah, ain't nobody going anywhere. And then I still had to get dressed and bundle up and trudge out back to try to find the one cat that my mom was worried about because she hadn't seen her. I'm like, the cat's fine. The orange cat was on our porch when I went to bed last night. I don't know where he's at now. He's been disappearing at times. We can't let him in because of the other cats. There is a small shelter on the porch, but he doesn't want to go in it because he can't see if anything's coming up to get him. And the other cat that tends to hang around and visit has found some place to go in our neighbor's yard. They've got a couple of sheds that a door is left open on one of them, and I almost think it's on purpose now for the cat, even though they talk tough about not taking the cat in and being like a little peeved that the cat's hanging out in their yard and trying to be cute and stuff. I think they leave the door open for her, to be perfectly honest. So, and when I went out there to try to find her, that's where she came from. She'd been hanging out in one of their sheds. She stretched and walked out of there and was like, "Hey, what's up? Pet me." I'm like, "It's too cold for me to stand out here and dick around and pet you." She's like, "Pat me. You're not petting me enough. Pet me more." Like, "Ma'am, I can't pet you any harder than I already am." She like wants love, but she doesn't want to be held. I've tried holding her a couple of times. And after like a minute, she's like, "No, put me down, put me down, put me down." "Well, I didn't tell you to stop petting me. I just wanted to be on the ground." And I'm like, "Okay." Alright. So, I mean, I feel bad and all, but we just can't bring either one of them in. We tried with the one, because we do not know if she is fixed or not. I'm kind of beginning to think she might be. Because she hasn't had kittens in the whole time that she's been around, and they've definitely been bothering her, so I'm kind of thinking she's fixed. Oh goodness, I am so cold still. Alright, that's not too bad. Okay, let's see, what time is it? Do we have time to keep going? Yeah, got a little bit more time. Got this just a mess of graphite smudges at this point. Alright. So we'll start moving on to this section, I guess. Okay. So hopefully everybody's been having an okay day. Hope it's been better than okay, really, but if it's just been okay, that's just fine. Alright. Probably just about time to rinse my brush here again. Getting a bit of paint buildup in it. Probably after this shape here. It's still an old brush, but it also still kind of gets the job done. So should probably keep it from getting a little too gunky. All right. Next. Sorry, I was trying to see if I had gotten all of that square or triangle, but the glare from the light made that a little tricky there. Okay. Well, all right, so we'll get this guy. Figured out in here. Let's see. Where do I want you to go? Well, I put you here. The heck was that?
That was P-Butt nudging stuff. Hi, buddy.
P-Butt.
He's trying to figure out how to get to me.
Hippopotamus. Er, So let's get this one here. I guess this one. Like, I didn't really have a hard line set plan here. Just kind of winging it, really. When we get down to it. Okay. We'll get that popped into there. We've used a fair bit of this color. What's left on my plate here is starting to dry up a bit. Alright, so we haven't quite lost the dragonfly yet. And we won't really, because I'm going to outline everything, and that's going to make a lot of this stand out. But the black will definitely help this come to life. And it'll kind of look like a fuzzy poster. Once we get the black color worked into here. Okay. So color number 3 is actually part of the dragonfly. And I think it's either this shade or it's this shade. It's one of those. I'm gonna have to find a really good detail brush to do our line work around this. That scares me. It's not gonna be this brush. So I might have to grab a different brush. I know it's not gonna be this one. I might have to use a real fine liner. Okay. So, get this guy. The little guy there. So I'm kind of thinking maybe this one. Right, because I'm also kind of having to take a step back and like actually look at what colors are down and where they're placed and all that. But I kind of don't want to put any more paint down right now. And I'm kind of out of this color on my plate. Okay. So I know it's a little early, but I think we're going to stop there today. Because like I said, I really don't want to put any more paint out when we don't have that much longer to go. So, tomorrow, we'll be back to working on our needle felting. And starting our third magnet. And then on Wednesday, we will be working on our Planet Zoo Kids Zoo yet again. So thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon and being a place to just kind of lurk and chill. I do appreciate that. We're getting there. We're getting there. Don't forget to follow the socially links down below or up above, wherever they are. I'll take you to the Instagram, the Ko-fi, the Blue Sky, and the YouTube channel. Don't know how much longer I'm going to leave the Instagram link on there. We'll see, but I probably won't be posting that much to there anymore. I'm going to be primarily posting to Blue Sky and Ko-fi. So I will see everybody tomorrow for needle felting. Try to have a good rest of your day. And until next time.